So skincare should be clean, it should be minimal, and it should be practical.
Right.
And it should be equally important for men and women.
Welcome to Glow Talks with Jess. I am thrilled to be here today. I have Dr. Afsheen Ather with Novaderm Institute. She's the founder of Novaderm.
Thank you so much, Jess, for inviting me. It's my absolute pleasure to come here, be with you, and sit and talk about skin, my favorite subject.
I love it. I love it. So now Afsheen and I have been working together for years. I think we originally met in 2009, and she's been taking great care of my skin ever since. I love how she has a complete service offering at Novaderm. So it's really a one-stop shop when it comes to caring for the skin.
Right. So skin, as we all know, it's the largest organ of our body, and we have to take care of it. A lot of us actually forget about it. We keep thinking about our heart health, our joint health, but we don't pay as much attention to our skin health as we should. But in my 17-year journey, what I've experienced is if you take good care of your skin, it does impact your internal organs and your overall health.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I know, as you know, and many of my family, friends, and viewership knows, my family has gone through our own challenges with the skin and melanoma cancer, which is why the subject is just so important to me, and hence having Afsheen here to help educate us a little bit on the journey, right, of caring for our skin and preventing challenges and diseases in the skin. It is such an important organ that we really do forget about sometimes. It's not just about our pretty face, right?
It's
skin
not. It's
which
so
is still
much
important.
more than that. It definitely is. So when it comes to skin, it's I'm not going to bore you with the details and everything, but I do want to create a visual in your heads that how skin really works and what is it all made up of.
Yeah, so let's talk about the anatomy of the skin and the layers and how does all of that work? Because obviously we're containing all of our bones and other organs, right, with our skin.
Right. So your skin basically, it has three main layers. The top layer, it's called epidermis, which is literally like a brick wall, and it can protect you against environmental hazards like bacteria, sun exposure, dryness, and any other environmental factors like pollutants and free radicals and whatnot.
Okay.
Next comes your dermis, which is also referred to as the live layer of the skin. Mm-hmm. Dermis is the middle layer of the skin where all of the action happens in terms of nutrient exchange, blood circulation, your collagen, which allows our skin to look plump and youthful and hydrated. And the lowermost layer is a layer of fat that's basically like a cushion and a receiving end for toxins and the stuff that needs to be left. It comes through blood vessels as well as your lymphatics, and it goes down back towards the heart to be cleansed and to be removed from the body.
So that's the deepest layer.
That's the deepest layer.
The deepest layer. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about these layers a little bit. And more specifically, I love the idea of, we're all taking collagen and supplements and trying to boost our collagen. Tell me a little bit about that layer and what we can do to perhaps support it.
So yes, collagen is very important. We have many different types of collagen found in the body. We have it in our bones, in our blood vessels, everywhere pretty much, in our heart and whatnot.
Connective tissue.
Right.
Yeah.
But type 1 and type 3 is the type of collagen found in your skin. Okay. And it is very important to give your skin the vitality and the girth that it has. In fact, as we age, the collagen levels deplete, and that's why the skin starts to thin out and starts to look a little crepey or a little
wrinkly, like more wrinkles.
Yep.
Okay. Now, is that also true for the exterior layer, as far as talking wrinkles?
Right. So the exterior layer, it's basically, like I said, it's like a brick wall. It's like 10, 20 layers of little bricks stacked on top of each other. Of course, the first and primary job is protection from the environment. And may it be sun exposure, may it be free radical damage or environmental bacteria.
Okay.
So in that layer, we have these cells, which are our pigment producing cells called melanocytes.
Okay, yes.
Those cells, when they start to work too much or over time, they start to give us sun damage,
Okay.
which can translate in the form of pigmentation, sunspots, and in some cases, skin cancers.
Okay, right. So tell me a little bit about sunspots, because I know that there are different variations of skin color that might produce sunspots more than others.
Right. So when it comes to skin, we divide our skin based on ethnicity.
Okay.
Like Caucasian and Northern Europeans are considered as the lightest skin colors,
Sure.
then come Asian skin, then Middle Eastern, and then African American skin.
Okay.
So darker the skin tone, the more protection you have against environment.
Okay.
So if you are, let's say, an African American person, you are naturally prone to tan more often and protect against the harmful effects of sun rays. But let's say if you're a Caucasian or a lighter skinned individuals, the only way you can tan is in the form of sunspots and sunburns, basically.
Right.
And when those sunspots kind of keep getting repeated sun exposure, they do turn sometimes into skin cancers. And there are three basic skin cancer types that we should be more wary of: basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and melanoma.
Okay.
The first two, they basically are 100% dependent on sun exposure to develop. So let's first define what a skin cancer is. Skin cancer is basically a normal skin cell. When it gets excessive sun exposure, it starts to divide exponentially and becomes abnormal. So it's a lot of immature cells developing in your skin, but they're not functional. So that's
So there's
what,
no more protection. Like
Right.
that layer kind of becomes
rather than doing their normal
Compromised.
protective and their daily duties, they start to do a disservice by hurting the skin. And when, in case of melanoma, these skin cells sometimes do pass through your bloodstream and can become a part of your different organs, like your lungs, your bones, and your gut and whatnot, and
Yeah.
can be
it can attack all the internal.
it can
organs.
once it goes through your bloodstream, it can create havoc in the body.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that deepest layer, thinking about the lymphatic system, because I learned through our own challenges that your lymphatic system is kind of the pathway that some of these cancers can travel.
Right.
So can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think there's some things that we could do even with the lymphatic system, perhaps, that can help the process of eliminating toxin, even at the
Right.
skin layers.
Right. So your lymphatics are just like a bunch of blood, like vessels. They're very similar to your blood vessels, but they don't have as much muscle in the walls of those vessels.
Okay.
So they're very delicate and they're very sluggish to move. Their main job is to remove bacteria, dead cells, and any old cells or broken down tissue back towards to the area of the body where they can be eliminated.
Right. The liver and
Right.
liver, kidney.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So those are our body's clearance systems or garbage disposal systems, you can
Right.
call them, and they
Right.
take away those parts of the body that are no more needed, your cells and stuff, which is broken down. When it comes to skin cancer, actually lymphatics facilitate the travel of cancer from the skin into the other areas of the body. So yes, lymphatics' job is to basically transport stuff from one part of the body to the other, but they're not necessarily killing or getting rid of those cancer cells.
I see.
So when it comes to melanoma in particular, the lymphatics actually allow the cancers to travel to the rest of the body,
Right.
which is ideally not the best thing to have.
Right.
That's why I recommend not to receive any lymphatic drainage massages, any lymphatic treatments while you've been diagnosed with a melanoma in particular.
Okay.
Because
And
it can make things worse rather than making it better.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's even more important in as to why we are directed once we find a potential skin cancer or skin imperfection after it's been tested to remove it completely
Right.
from the skin.
So
Let's talk about that a little bit.
right. So earlier the diagnosis, the better it is because like when it starts, it all starts with, believe it or not, just like a very innocent looking sunspot. When that sunspot gets repeated years of sun exposure, it does turn into that cancerous form, and the cells, they start dividing exponentially, immaturely, and turn into either basal or squamous cell carcinoma or
Right.
melanoma.
Right.
So it's very important, especially for light-skinned individuals or people, not necessarily just light-skinned people, but people who live at high altitudes or in excessive sun exposure kind of environments, to get their skin scans and skin checks done regularly,
Right.
so their sunspots can be diagnosed and removed in a timely manner before they can make it to the bloodstream or other parts of the body.
So this is why I really loved working with Afsheen, because she is knowledgeable of looking at the skin, looking at some of these areas in the body and saying on the skin and saying, hey, like this might look a little abnormal. It's good to go see your doctor, right? See
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Prevention is better than cure, and that's how we should live our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about prevention. And I know there's many layers, just like the skin, to help our bodies to prevent cancers and prevent other disease, right? But specific to skin cancer, I know you had mentioned some of these cancers are completely preventable. So what can we do?
So, like I mentioned earlier, always go for your skin scans annually. Make sure that if you see a suspicious lesion, let your doctor look at it, take a biopsy, and figure out whether it's just a sunspot or it's turning into something more serious. Generally, basal and squamous cell carcinomas, when removed topically from the skin with an excision biopsy, they don't create any more trouble for you.
Okay.
So yeah, make sure you do that once a year and get a whole body scan, especially on the areas which are more exposed to sun than others.
So can you tell me a little bit about what might a lesion or one of these potential skin cancer or imperfections, like what might it look like on my skin?
Sure.
What am I looking for?
So basal cell carcinoma can be very innocent looking. It can almost look like you scratch your skin and it looks a little flaky. That's it. Squamous cell carcinoma could have a white pearly appearance, and melanomas generally almost mimic a mole, but the mole will have 2 or 3 different colors of brown or black.
Okay,
So
right.
when a mole starts to change its shape or size or color, it's not very well rounded. Its
Right.
edges are becoming like more uneven.
Okay.
It's time to go and see your doctor.
See your doctor. So annual skin doctor visits, and especially if you're in high altitude areas or you're living in places with a lot of sun exposure all year round.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I think sunscreen, that's a more obvious. Everyone, that's
Right.
that's the goal, right? Is to
Right.
put sunscreen every day.
right. So keeping our goal in mind, it becomes things very easy. So how to prevent it? If you start putting sunscreen on your 2-year-old, starting at a very early age, you are actually really protecting and preventing a lot of trouble from coming.
Okay. Yeah.
So sunscreen, of course, is number one thing. Watching your sun exposure, minimizing it definitely helps.
Okay.
Avoiding tanning beds is definitely a huge
tanning
thing.
beds are a no.
Are a complete no-no.
No. So, but we could also wear, we have they have some really amazing fabrics, bathing suits and stuff that are, I think, even coming more in style where it's like a full body kind of athletic bathing suit.
Absolutely.
Right?
And they're all UV treated and they will protect you and make you look very put together.
Fashionable, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I love that. I actually do love that the fashion industry is incorporating some of these more protective measures when it comes to clothing, right?
Right.
And they have more, hats with wider brims. I know my husband used to wear those a lot. And then, of course, the shirts for guys, right, with the longer
The
sleeves.
UV treated shirts.
Yep.
Sunscreen, again, being the most important essential when it comes to your skincare. Because, of course, we cannot always cover our faces or neck or décolleté,
That's
hands
true.
and arms. So,
And this area does get exposed so much to skin we don't even realize.
right.
So when you're putting your sun lotion on, definitely make sure you're taking
Make sure
this
you include
whole area.
your chest and décolleté, your arms and legs if you're in summer season. Yeah, all those areas need to be protected.
It's funny. I had a couple of patients back when I was in integrative counseling, and they would all, the ones who were commuting, because I was working in DC and then living in Virginia, and sometimes that can be an hour commute. And if you're commuting the same road every day, you'd be surprised at how much sun exposure and how our car windows actually amplify the bad rays, right? So they'd have more on one side than the other. Do you find some patients like that?
With almost everybody, like people who do long distance driving, we call it the greenhouse effect. Just like we put plants in a glass house to trap in the UV index and make our plants grow more. If you're in a car for, let's say, an hour or two every day, we are trapping that UV light, and it does impact our skin. Probably double of what it would do just walking around outside.
So it's not enough just to put the sun visor down.
It's not. Sunscreen.
It's tough, right?
Tinting your left hand side, your driving side glass definitely helps.
That's a good idea.
Visors, sunglasses, whatever you can do, all of that comes in handy.
I mean, I think we've discussed this quite a bit of, when we talk about having beautiful skin. And one of the things that I love about Afsheen's line, which, by the way, is available on Amazon, she has her own Amazon store under Novoderm Institute. What I love about your line of products is that I don't have to do 5,000 steps. It's just like a few steps, and then make sure that I have this routine every morning with the sunscreen.
Right.
So at the very end, boom, you put that sunscreen on, and then you're really protected for most of the day. On average here where we live, it's not necessarily like high sun exposure all year round, but I just feel it's so important to have that daily routine.
Absolutely. And my philosophy is to decode and simplify skincare, because there's so many brands out there in the market.
Gosh, I know.
And it doesn't have to be complicated. You basically need to keep your skin clean, hydrated, and sun protected. That's it.
Okay.
And I've based that philosophy and came up with all the products so that everything is pH balanced, everything is free of parabens and fragrance and the other stuff, which may feel good when we apply on the skin, but necessarily they're not that friendly with your skin.
Right. Well, I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize this, but the more products and products that have potential hazardous materials, our skin is actually absorbing all of that.
Absolutely.
It's becoming more well known. I think the education on skin is more available, obviously, and I think melanoma is one of the top cancers actually for all of us. It's one of the top reported cancers. So I think whatever we can do to help protect ourselves it's so essential. Not just for someone who's genetically predisposed to melanoma, but anyone. Anyone
and everyone. Yeah, I would say, just start doing it at an early age, prevent it, and you don't have to deal with all the
I love that you mentioned about trying to get into this habit while your children are young. I mean, we both have kids, and many of my viewers and friends here have children, and I know the kids, they really dislike having, like, Mom, don't, what, but it's good because then they are less exposed.
Right.
And they get
Right.
used to it.
And it was a thing maybe 10 years ago that sunscreens had to be very white and very sticky and gooey to work. But with the more advancements...
Here, I love this one you brought, actually. This new one, Smart Sunscreen. It's really fabulous, actually. It's like, it's clear, if you can tell. It's a clear sunscreen, and it goes on so smooth and beautifully. I'm thrilled with this product.
Right, and it's 50 SPF, so the whole idea is to make the product more skin friendly, so even children don't find it hard to use.
I mean, it makes
Men
my
can use
skin
it,
feel so
women can
smooth.
use it equally. It has hydrators added on top of its sun protecting factor. And it's a pure mineral sunscreen.
Okay.
Chemical sunscreens also tend to work not very well with the skin, so more and more professionals are leaning away from it.
Right. And then like you had mentioned earlier too, that this is great for all skin color variations.
Right.
Because it doesn't have that white kind of thick
White cast.
Yeah.
And then it feels light on the skin, and if you just
It
get your
absorbs right
kids in the
away.
habit of doing that every morning, I think you're a winner.
Yeah, no, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. And yeah, definitely just start them young as possible. I remember when one of the kids was so little, like a little baby, we had visited California, and I slathered her in sunscreen, and apparently later that day when I got home, I realized I missed a spot, and it was just this little sliver, and it was so red, and I was just it was a little teeny spot, but I'm just like, you know what, like, I'm so thankful that we have these ways to protect ourselves, because when I saw that redness, clearly she was a little baby, and I could tell it was even uncomfortable for her.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. So I did want to talk a little bit about not only your product line and that it's now available on Amazon. I think that's fantastic. I'm just so proud and just happy for you.
Thank you.
I've been buying it for years since you first started developing them, but
Right. It's almost been 10 years.
I know. It's crazy for me to think that. But yeah, so I love that it's available everywhere and to anyone. Your price points are amazing. And, you know, to be honest, I really love having less steps. Less is more sometimes in this case. Not in dance.
Right. So the whole idea, again, is about skin health. So skincare should be clean, it should be minimal, and it should be practical.
Right.
And it should be equally important for men and women.
Yes, I love that point.
Right.
And, you know, luckily we had been educated on that throughout Rudy's original, like since his first diagnosis. But prior to that, it was not necessarily something that that was promoted even to men. It was more like, oh, women and skincare, you know, so that you don't get wrinkles. Well, it goes way deeper
way
than that.
more than that. It's
Yeah.
just not about vanity. It's about your skin health.
Yes. So, Afsheen, I know you have been expanding at your clinic, and I've been thrilled actually to use some of your extra services. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing there.
So we have a myriad of services that we offer, from the very basic, like oxygen lift facials, hydrofacials,
Love
which
those.
is our everyday need. It exfoliates, it re-energizes, and it also pushes nutrients into the skin.
Yes.
To more anti-aging treatments like skin tightening with Opus.
Okay, yeah. Love
And
that.
Exilis. So all of those radio frequency neuro devices are fantastic at getting rid of lines, wrinkles, improving your texture. And especially like we are losing collagen as
Yes.
we're aging. So we all need a burst of collagen underneath the skin. So they all facilitate that.
Yeah, no, I love that Opus. I have done that a couple of times with you, and I will tell you that it's very effective. So I do love that service. So what else? What else do you have for us?
Another one of my personal favorites is microneedling. A lot of
Okay.
people think probably it's very painful or something. It's not. But it's very, very effective with exosomes. So exosomes is this new thing that we've recently started using at our office, which helps your skin heal very quickly.
Okay.
Like in the past, the problem used to be you'd be red and you'd be irritated for days after
see.
an in-office treatment.
Yeah.
So the exosomes, they are pre-made vials. We are using Benieve Exosome, which is a very well-known FDA-approved company in the United States. And it allows your skin to start healing as soon as I finish my treatment. So you don't have to deal with the downtime and the redness and irritation. And it helps you boost new cells at an exponential rate.
Wow. Okay. Well, that sounds so exciting.
Right.
Well, and I love your office. It's so peaceful there and beautiful. So you just really get just such a nice full treatment while you visit.
Thank you.
So I know also you had introduced micronutrient IV therapy, which is one of my personal favorites.
Right. We are actually partnering with like a couple of companies. They will be offering IV nutrients like vitamin C or immune boosters and anti-allergy drips and stuff like anti-fatigue, IV nutrition therapies. And then we have another new partner who will be offering injectables for the individuals who are specifically looking for Botox or fillers or other means of anti-aging solutions.
Those are wonderful too. And I've actually used some of those Botox and fillers over the years. And, we just do it in very small amounts where we're helping to keep the skin more structured.
Right.
So I find with the combination of the proper skincare, hydration, and some of the fillers that you can maintain a really nice, smooth surface for the skin.
Yeah, there is a place for all of these things, but you always, in my personal practice, when you combine these different therapies, you end up with a more fulfilled result.
Yes.
And one treatment plan cannot replace another.
Right.
So do a little bit of everything based on your individual skin needs. That's far more important.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I see people already have fuller faces and they keep getting more injectables that keeps adding volume to their face. That's not the idea.
Right.
In my head, the idea is to preserve your natural beauty
and structure
and enhance it.
Yes, so, and one size doesn't fit all. Everyone has a different plan and different goals, which I love that it's a process. And as we've worked together, we've come up with whatever suits me. It may not suit someone else necessarily.
Exactly. So it's all about individually custom tailoring your skincare services to meet the needs of that particular individual. And yes, one size doesn't fit all.
That's right. That's right. Well, in a sense, we're also looking, and as, I'm sure most of I'd worked in integrative wellness and have dealt with helping others to create a good environment inside the body, and specifically like with our nutrients, diet, nutrition, the health of our intestines. There are other things we can do to also enhance our skin by eating healthy, hydrating, and taking high quality supplements. So I have more on that too.
Right. Because you are what you eat, and it does reflect on your skin too.
Yes.
So my first advice to people is people drink enough water.
Yes.
Our skin or our entire body is almost 70 to 80% water, and the remainder is the rest of the tissues. So water intake is vital.
Yes.
Make sure you take enough water every day, especially increase your water intake during summertime, when you work out. All of that does play a very good role.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to nutrition, keep it as clean as possible, less sugars, less caffeine, less smoking or no smoking would be my advice.
Right.
Because all of that does reflect in your skin too.
Yeah, and dries it out. So even you could drink all the water you wanted, but then you're kind of
taking it away.
Right. Yeah. So I think, having high nutrients and making sure that you're supplements and food that you are eating are absorbing properly. So
Right.
that's another thing, which I love to share. So I have some fun stuff to share with you guys too, more on that, of more bioavailable nutrients and supplements that you can take that will enhance and provide the sustenance that your cells and your skin need.
Right,
So-
especially with our busy lifestyles. If you're not taking enough good nutrition, or we're
Right.
always on the go, then definitely all these IV therapies come in very handy.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I am so grateful for you, and thank you so much for being here. I hope that you all enjoyed our discussion today on this podcast and that it was informative, because, for me, I know it's so important to take care of our bodies and take care of the wholeness of the body. So that includes the spirit, the mind, and everything that you see, right? Thank you so much, Afsheen, for being here with me today. You have just been such a good friend and confidant, and I've loved working with you over the years. I'm so grateful for all the things you've taught me and have supported me throughout the years. So thank you. I love you so much.
It has been my absolute pleasure working with you, Jess.
So if you want to learn more about Novoderm Institute, you can find her online. She has her Amazon online store, as we mentioned. She has novoderminstitute.com. And you can find her on Instagram, TikTok,
Facebook.
all the social media sites. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Glow Talks with Jess. You can also find me on Instagram under Jess Ernst, Glow Talks with Jess, Facebook under Jess Ernst. I do have a podcast streaming on Apple Music and Spotify. We'll see you next time.